That moment will see something in the distance and thinks it's land. Nick tries calling 911 and texting his wife, but he still has no signal. He wonders if they may be hallucinating, but Will points out that two people can't hallucinate the same thing. Since planes have flown by without seeing them, he thinks they should take the risk now. They untie the cables and leave the boat to start swimming toward the supposed land. However, after just a few minutes, they lose sight of both whatever it was they saw in the boat. When they turn around, they realize they can't see each other either. They desperately swim around trying to find anything, and eventually Nick makes it to the boat. Will soon arrives as well and Nick has to help him stay afloat. The storm finally clears, so the tornado and the aircraft continue their search. This time the radars work well. After 30 hours at sea, Nick notices Will has been too quiet and checks on his state of mind. Will admits he's thinking about his funeral and wonders if he'll be there. He lies down as his body starts trembling and thinks about what would have happened if he had gotten married, pointing out that maybe a wife would have made him stay home. As he starts having a breakdown, Will asks Nick to send a message to his parents. However, before he can decide on the message, he starts feeling very hot and tries to jump into the water. A wave hits them while Nick grabs the cables to keep Will close. He even wraps his arms around him to hold him, but Will takes off his vest to free himself. Another wave hits them and Will slides off the boat, so Nick keeps pulling at the cables to try to bring him back. Unfortunately, a third wave comes and pushes Will away, leaving Nick alone and yelling in despair. At the Coast Guard office, Timothy hears that both aircraft came back without results. He tells his team not to lose hope and work hard to find the victims. In the evening, the tornado crew gives up as well, although two men decide to stay outside a little longer. Nick's wife is losing hope and leaves a message on his voicemail, crying as she talks about their years together. Then she goes outside and lets Nick's mother comfort her. A few hours later, Nick hears a noise and sees the tornado in the distance, but they don't see him. He thinks about his wife and mother to avoid letting disappointment kill his mood. After 42 hours at sea, Nick keeps dreaming about his friends and their deaths. His last specks of hope finally die, so he unties the cables and lies down on the boat, waiting for the end to come. At that moment, the tornado finally sees him and they send out a boat to rescue him. Timothy receives the news on the radio and immediately sends out the aircraft as well. A helicopter soon lowers a stretcher and Nick finally gets to leave the sea safely. The tornado crew and the Coast Guard celebrate their success while paramedics take care of Nick's injuries. Timothy calls Nick's family and they get to celebrate, but the other wives aren't so lucky. 6 months later, Nick can hear his friend screams every time he is near water. This is based on a true story. The search for the other men continued for several days, but it had to be called off and the victims were declared lost at sea. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.